Are you?
All right, so real quick, gonna go through the top corners. This week, it's Xavier McKinney of Green Bay. Um, he has 26 solo tackles, 10 assists, 6 interceptions, and 7 passes deflected, 1 sack, and 1 fumble recovered. In second is Kirby Joseph of Detroit. He has 25 solo tackles, 14 assists, 5 interceptions, and 7 passes deflected. And rounding out in third is Marlon Humphrey of Baltimore, who has 27 solo tackles, 6 assists, 4 interceptions, and 8 passes deflected. And so that is the top corners of the game. But one thing I kind of wanted us as a group to kind of discuss was that we've been seeing it a lot lately. Bears game. One of the things like that is coming out in the scuttle of the Bears game that we talked about is that the Bears have sent tape to the NFL, to a headquarters at the NFL, showing what they're calling holding calls and seeing if they will take a look at the game and show that the refs made some bad calls in that one. There was that one, which, in my opinion, I don't think will happen. They're not going to make the Bears in Washington get together again to throw one ball. That's just not going to happen. But there's been some other pretty bad reffing decisions lately. Um, the Rams Vikings game with the face mask in the last 30 seconds of that game, that definitely was pretty blatant. There's been a couple of roughing the passer calls that we look at and like that's not really roughing the passer, but it's getting called. There's been some DPI or PI calls on either side, whether it's offensive or defensive. Lately, we've been seeing a lot of DPI. That's, I think a lot of us would say, like, we don't think that's really DPI, but so there's a lot of this stuff, and we all know that the refs get graded every week and the teams get graded. And depending on how they do throughout the year, then they can be put on various teams to play in the playoffs. Now, I've kind of mentioned this before, and I think it's true. Is one thing everybody needs to remember is a lot while these guys go through extensive training on this, on what they're doing, they are technically volunteers and they're contract workers with the NFL. They're not NFL employees. And so I want to throw this out to Delilah and Handy and Nick. And my thought is let's discuss whether or not the NFL reps should actually be NFL employees, kind of like what the NBA does. So, Nick, what do you
Yep.
think?
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea at all, Tina. I think there we go. Oh, there I am. Hey, it's me. Hi, everybody. I'm back. No, but I do think I think that's okay. And the ears are off. The gloves are off. The ears are off. It's all off.
I had to take
So,
my hood. I had to take
right.
my
So,
hood off. So I'm sweaty.
right. There you go. I actually agree with that statement, though. I really do think it would be great if the refs actually worked for the NFL and were employees. I just feel like, and again, I could be wrong in this, but like sometimes you do kind of see like refs just lackadaisical on the sidelines doing, they're doing their thing, but at the same time, they're kind of just like, a guy will go over to the ref and say something. The ref's like, oh, excuse me. And then they'll start, I don't know. I just feel like you're invested more if you're an employee. I just think that's what most things in life.
Yeah.
You're just invested more in what you're doing if you're an actual employee of something. Because like you said, I know they get graded and that's fine. But at the same time, if I could, motivate you by like, I don't know, docking your pay a little bit or something, whatever, to get you to really pay attention during these games and to really, because yes, I understand that and I talk about this extensively about you shouldn't let a ref decide the game. You shouldn't be in that position, but it happens. And refs have cost people games. We've seen it. We all know. We've all talked about it. But I just feel like I'll stop there because again, we could probably talk on this forever. I do
Yeah.
feel like they should be employees of the NFL, and that's my take on it.
Yeah. As I've covered, as you know, during diversity with Delilah, right? Refs and officials, because I mentioned that the referee is not the same as the official. There's a completely different. Like, there's only one ref, and then you have all the officials. The ref is the one that has like way more like training, right? He's more seasoned, spends more time, still part time. So I think you have to understand that these are part time gigs for almost seasonal. If you think about it that way, maybe that'll help. This is a seasonal job. These officials and the referee have other jobs that they do to supplement. This is something that they do part time. Yes, they have training camps for referees. Yes, they have all these different things that they do. But I agree with Tina. I do believe that if they went salaried, and if you think about it, just like with the NBA, when they did all that, that's why they were able to control more things, right? With the NBA scandal of like betting and all that stuff. So making the officials and the referees like actual employees, I do think that it'll go a better way because the training's going to be better, right? It has to be because these are going to be employees, rather it's hourly or salary, whatever you decide to do, right? The training changes, right? Because this is now your job. This is like your core job. And so I do think that might go to helping, but human error is human error though. And so I don't think it'll fix the problems completely, but I do think it'll make things better, right? Because this is going to be their actual job. They're going to make some good money because you got to make the pay good. So if you're going to do like salaries for these officials and referees, you got to give them a living salary based on where they live, right? So again, make sure you pay them, and then I think it'll go well. Because if you pay them not well, then it's gonna go just like any other part-time job where you get paid crap, right? You're not gonna care. So just make sure we do that. I do think it'll make a difference, but the salary has to make sense. Like it has to be at least a living wage that they can afford rent, groceries, things like that, right? To make sure that they're employed like year round, or if they're not employed year round, that if in the off season, right, they're still able to pay their bills and stuff. So that's my only caveat to that. Make them employees, but make sure they can actually afford to live where they live.
Andy?
Well, if these guys aren't full-time employees, then by all means sign me up. Unless every single website I've looked at is wrong on what they get paid. Don't they make a couple $100,000 over 18 game season?
They make good money for doing it. But it's what it is it's kind of like an independent contractor is what they are.
Okay.
It's like doctors with the hospital.
I mean, that's
like
that's fair.
Not all doctors are
me
hospital employees. Some doctors are independent contractors or your marketing people or somebody that comes in with a company. So
right. And they do have other jobs.
Yeah,
they do have other jobs.
Well, I mean, I do agree that they need to be NFL employees, but I did not. I mean, I figured they had to make a decent amount of money, but I didn't know they made that much. I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. I don't make that much on my job. Like hell, I take a job and make some bad calls for 18 games. I make all the bad calls. What bad call you want? What's that you said, Mr. Mahomes? You wasn't out of bounds. No flag on the play for the stepping out of bounds on 15 of the Chiefs. The result of the play is a first down. Too good. Hey, make sure that check is made out too. Anthony Handy. Anyway, but yes, I kid, but yeah, I agree, because once you become an employee, then you have, especially something of this nature with the NFL, I am pretty sure there's an employee handbook. There's probably an SOP somewhere, a referee SOP, something that they would have to follow to the very letter, and so much so to the point that a face mask in Tampa is a face mask in Atlanta, is a face mask in London. I'm not firing shots or nothing like that, but I may have or may not have seen something like that happen this past Sunday that I was like, how did they not call that? So I'm just saying. But yes, I do agree they need to be NFL employees.
Yeah, and I do know like every week, like on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, they have to, during the football season, they have to get together as a group and do Zoom calls, and they go over, like, I'll call it like the best and the worst calls of the week. And you get graded. And if you're not graded well, then you're not going to be able to do the big games, like the big Monday Night Football or even the playoff games and things like that. But the problem is that now some of it is you, how many refs are on the field? What is it, like 5, 4 with
Yeah,
a
I think
head?
there's. Yeah,
Yeah,
I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
5 guys can't see everything on the field. But there's certain things that no matter what. Like if you can see pads and a pass interference, that's
Yeah.
pass interference. Like
Right.
I don't care whether one didn't have the ball or not. That's a grab. Yes,
Right.
I
No,
am
exactly.
referring to Sauce because he likes to grab. But
There you go.
like with face masks, if you're seeing a face turn 9 times out of 10, the only thing is with the NFL, and this is the reason why I think it's not being done, is unlike baseball with like the strike zone and where the base is, like bringing technology and electronics into the NFL game won't work. There's too much subjectiveness. But that's the problem is because it is so objectiveness is what I meant to say, because it is so subjective. That's why what is a DPI for one guy won't be a DPI for somebody else.
Right.
And that's why I think if you brought them in as actual employees and that's all they did was this, and they didn't have outside jobs, you just paid them for the whole year.
Oh yeah, they
Right.
go to
You would
training
see
camp,
maybe see a little bit more professionalism.
or
Because
at least
like
uniformity.
yeah, more uniformity. A lot of these guys, most of them are lawyers.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
a
again,
lot
right.
of
That's
The
what
job
I'm.
they
That's what
do.
I'm.
yeah,
That's what I'm
like,
saying. It's a part-time gig. Yeah.
sorry, Chewy.
And you work essentially 1 day a week, so that's not a bad part-time gig to make 200,000 for working 18 weeks. That's not bad at all. 1 day a week, I could live with that.
Yeah, and they're doing a hard job. This is not
Yeah,
an
they are.
easy
No,
to do
correct. They're
at
on their
all.
feet for that whole, pretty much the whole time.
And
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
rules, but still,
You got to remember everything. Yeah.
I just wish there was a little. Well, that was the reason why Belichick was always able to take advantage of the rules, was because he knew the rule book better than the refs
Yeah,
did.
he certainly
So-
did. We all know Bill was on another level with a lot of things, and I think one of them was he knew
I'm
all the.
sure
Yeah.
he looked at the crew coming in and was like, "Well, you know what? They tend not to call this, so this is what we're gonna do this week."
Right, and that's how smart them it was, and that's why he won 6 Super Bowls. Exactly. All right.
Okay.
Well, listen. Thank you, Tina, for that. We always appreciate Corner Office because we always get some stuff that we didn't know before, and I appreciate that, and I know we all do. So thank you for that.